Welcome to AstroTwins Radio, your cosmic GPS for life, love, and everything written in the stars. We're Tali and Ophira Edut, the AstroTwins, here to decode the astrology of the moment and help you navigate your destiny like a pro. Well, hey there, everyone. Happy Taurus season. It's week of April 20th to 26th. Tali here in New York City for a few more hours.
And Ophi also in New York, but not in the same location as Tali. But we did just have, I don't know how long we were here, all week.
Yeah.
We had a fun week. We went to see Lily Allen and got stuff done, as we always do with our Capricorn risings. And yeah.
We're part of a tech summit, an AI summit, Break the Pattern. That was really great. You did some vibe coding. You did all kinds of things there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We did our keynote on breaking patterns and the future of leadership, why it's personal and personalized. So we got to share about our I am system. And now we're recording Monday morning before I head off to Summit at Sea. The cruise has been described as Ted meets Burning Man. And it's my first time on a cruise. And I'm going to speak twice, share about our I am system. And then I'm going to be sharing our financial cycles in astrology, a little talk about that part of our 2026 horoscope book. Those of you guys who have it or listen to the podcast, we shared a little bit of that a couple of weeks ago on our episode, because we're coming up on that Aquarius North Node the end of July. So it's going to be really fun to get to talk about that. There's a lot of venture capitalists and founders and entrepreneurs who go on this. So getting to talk to them through the lens of astrology, that and my secret geeky coding side are getting their chance to be fulfilled here.
They really, really are. And I'm hoping you get to meet David Guillaume, who was your Kabbalah 1 teacher years ago and is really
in 2011
blown up as like a big voice. He's not with the Kabbalah Center anymore, but he's doing his own thing.
Yeah, he was my teacher in 2011 and then went on to, with his former partner, Mary Ruth, create Mary Ruth's Vitamins, which is now this huge liquid vitamin company. So he became a successful entrepreneur. I knew both of them as he was my teacher, and she was always kind of like his TA way before they weren't even married. So I think they were like not doing well financially either. No, they're not. Yeah. They're like both Aquarians. I think they have the same birthday, and they're
that was a Pisces.
Friends. No, he's an Aquarius.
Okay.
Goes off of the Kabbalah way of doing the sidereal. He's a Pisces. So,
by the way, speaking of which, there's a video circulating of Madonna. She was with Sabrina Carpenter for week 2. Last week we talked about how Sabrina Carpenter really, effed up, talking about the ululating of an Arab fan. Then she has Madonna on stage, and Madonna starts trying to give a sermon on astrology, talking about how there were 7 planets in Aries, but she was like, we're in the new moon of Taurus today. And it was like, no, Madonna, it's an Aries new moon, but I was thinking
because
maybe
Kabbalah
calls
that
it
way,
the Taurus new moon.
Because
right.
This goes to like lunar or lunisolar astrology, which we talk about every year at the Lunar New Year. So the solar calendar that we follow in Western countries is based on the sun. And 365 days a year, but the lunar calendar, which almost every it's the world's most used, the lunisolar calendar, is the new moon begins the month. So every, I believe, like 2.8 years, we have what's called a blue moon. We have an extra new moon, a 13th new moon in the calendar year. So the Hebrew calendar, which is what Kabbalah follows, does reset so they would think of it as the new moon of Taurus because they're going off of the Hebrew months. But yes,
it was a weird moment too, because it was also kind of funny, but it was like Sabrina Carpenter's standing there. They sang like a prayer together. You could just tell Sabrina Carpenter was like, "Okay, mom, stop lecturing." There's something like,
wow.
Madonna it was just so weirdly out of context while they were strutting around in their, their corsets.
Oh yeah, remember when artists weren't products? And that's what I was talking about. Like Sabrina Carpenter is a product to me in a lot of ways. So I'm not trying to be ageist here because there are people who are critical thinkers. My own 15-year-old daughter is, and some of her friends. So, I'm not into like stereotyping young people.
But we know that Sabrina Carpenter was a child star, and she's not even a week out from her cultural misstep, and now she's doing like a prayer, and she's just, you could just see that she has not gone through her Saturn return yet, and that Madonna has gone through her third Saturn return. And it was just like it was also like,
but I remember when we used to listen to artists at like Lollapalooza, if they made any kind of a statement about humanity or politics or social issues, we'd listen with reverence. And it was like, oh my God, you're listening. I mean, look at the Beatles. This is the year of the fire horse, the year that the Beatles, in 1966, records were burned because John Lennon said they were finally bigger than Jesus as a joke. And then mass burnings of Beatles records broke out among evangelical Christian groups in the South and the United States.
Well, interesting that has sort of repeated itself, because one of the things that's happening now is after Trump posted the AI meme of him as Jesus, Pope Leo spoke out. Now a lot of people in MAG are saying they think the assassination attempt of Trump in 2024 was staged. Oh, yeah, don't say, like groundbreaking. We all knew that, but for MAGA to turn on him now, I guess today Trump posted a meme of him embracing Jesus. So,
God,
all is forgiven, will be, because it always is with that. When you're your cult leader who is a doctor, not Jesus, whatever, doctors wear the red robes of Jesus. Anyways, we don't even have to get into that.
I saw
that's old news.
An interesting Instagram. I don't know if the guy's a therapist or not, although I don't know that it even matters. I mean, he came up with a term that I got to look it up again, but it was the idea of like when your entire identity becomes part of the group, of the cult, like your existence versus, he's like, we've gone beyond the just, well, they have a different view than I do. And it's like someone's entire life and identification gets.
Is it identity fusion?
Yeah. That's what it's called. Yeah. Identity fusion. Yeah. I mean, I think translation, you're in a cult, but it is, the way he was talking about it was interesting, because I'm like, yeah, that is new in some ways here.
Well, that leads us to this week's planets, because we have one of the major events. And if you have your 2026 horoscope book, this was one of the top 5 themes: Uranus moving into Gemini. The 2 stars of this week are Venus and Uranus. It's Taurus season is upon us, first and foremost. Happy birthday to all our bulls out there. It began late last night, Sunday night. Venus and Uranus are connecting in Taurus on Thursday for the last meetup. They've had an annual conjunction in Taurus for the last 7 years, once a year. And the final one in Taurus takes place this Thursday. So Venus being peace, love, harmony, Uranus being chaos, combative, innovation, disruption. it's a shakeup. It's a shakeup for sure. And we see that happening with, is it a ceasefire? It's not a ceasefire. Oh, okay. Strait of Hormuz. We'll get into that. Then Venus moves into Gemini on Friday till May 18th. And then the big deal transit of the week happens Saturday when Uranus enters Gemini all the way until May 22nd, 2033. So 7 years. So those are the big deal things. We have a couple other noteworthy transits on Monday. Today, Mercury, Saturn, and Mars are connecting in Aries. So we still have all last week. And if you saw Madonna talking about it at Coachella, we had 7 placements in Aries. That was a big deal with the new moon. So we still have Mercury, Saturn, and Mars really close together today. There's a quarter moon in Leo on Friday as Venus goes into Gemini. So that could regulate some of the, global powers. We may see some people stepping in from different places, different world leaders to maybe try to negotiate or check some of the powers going on. But I don't think it's going to last very well because this weekend we have a couple of intense squares. That's when planets form this right angle to each other and their energies. It's almost like they crash at an intersection. So we have the sun, which is the ego, and Pluto, which is this dominating underworld force. They're crashing in fixed signs. A Taurus sun with Pluto and Aquarius. So more Lego videos, and who knows what else. And then on Sunday, Mercury in Aries, which is hot-headed communication, is crashing with Jupiter in Cancer, extreme nationalism. So again, we still, the rest of this month is just, there's still strife that we have to get through, but I don't know.
We did say we were going to mention human design too. So
right.
April 16th till Tuesday, the 21st, the sun has been in the gate 3, which is the gate of ordering. It's in the sacral chakra. So, or the old ancient term for is difficulty at the beginning. So if you've had to break through something, it was perfect because one of the parts of the Break the Pattern summit that we were part of during this transit was about vibe coding, and there was a build-a-thon, and I participated in it, and proud to say that I won one of the best tech prizes for 84 types, but that wasn't the point. The point was it was fun and it was to learn new skills. There was a 16-year-old girl from Giza, Egypt, who created an app to translate, to help coders code in the 27 different Arabic dialects.
That's cool.
Yeah, and she won one of the prizes. Sweet girl, like really cool. It's like, it just made me feel, it warmed my heart to be with. And then there were women in their 60s and 70s and 50s learning how to vibe code too, and like creating things. So even as problematic as AI is, it's like, if we don't have a seat at the table, just like as problematic as patriarchy and capitalism are, like women should not be the ones to opt out of it. It's like the less we're part of these things, the more likely they're going to be used for evil. So yeah, it was just really, really amazing. The whole experience was vibe coded. Angelina Milare, our friend who hosted it for the Google Women Tech Makers group, she actually vibe coded an entire platform. We'll be sharing the replay link. It's going to be available because there were some really, really great speakers and topics, and I was just so impressed. But the difficulty at the beginning, the gate of ordering. So many people tried something totally new and reframed their minds around AI and how it could be used to help them make the world better for their communities. So that was one of the things that I felt came out of the sun in this 5-day period, this slice of the Aries Taurus cusp. So April 21st, we've got for 5 days, the gate 27, the gate of caring. So we're good. It's about
caring,
going into the gate of caring.
Cool.
Tomorrow, which is, it's funny. I think about Tauruses that I know born between like April 21st and 27th or 26th. And, a lot of them like to cook and nurture and nourish, but caring can be a double-edged sword. It's also in the sacral chakra too. So, it can also lead to codependence or self-sacrifice as well, or like caring, getting in people's business a little too much. So it'll be interesting to see that emerge. But I mean, hopefully the positive, compassionate side of the gate of caring will come out this week, because we have not seen enough of that. That's for sure.
Thinking about the gate of ordering, Diego, who's our CTO here at Astro Style, how he always helps us with putting things in order. And also my friend Molly, who loves to, she can't even go into anyone's house without helping them organize it. So it's
every time she visits, she would like sneak into my room and make my bed for me before I even had a chance. Or like I'd come into my shoes were like facing the same direction or whatever. It's like, that's
I just let her go. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to stop you if you feel like you need to do it, but can you just sit down for a minute here and let's just enjoy ourselves? I have to like break out like the vibration plate, red light mask, Theragun stuff for her to go into her relaxed Taurus mode. Otherwise, she's just like call her the hummingbird.
Well, we're born with the sun in the gate of focus, gate 9. And that is, I've never heard myself described any other way more, but oh my God, you're so focused. You're so focused. And I think our whole lives, we've been like, I just got to find a place where I can go focus on writing, focus on this. I'm like, okay, so kind of teasing you, because we are developing our human design for astrologers course book, etc. It's taking the time it takes. I'm following what the wisdom of the I Ching, which is what these gate numbers are. It's I Ching layered like a double crust pizza over astrology, over the zodiac. And we're taking a new and different kind of entry point into human design than you've probably seen before from an astrology centered perspective. So the I Ching says it's meant to be learned a bite at a time or over time. So I think I'm coming up on a year of tracking the sun through the gates and working on this course bit by bit. So can't wait to share it with you guys later this year.
I think of human design as somatic astrology. It maps your birth chart to the body and the chakras, and it shows how the energy shows up in the body. So very exciting. And it's like, I don't know, I resisted it for a long time and it made no sense. And then our friend Ben helped us to like unpack it. And also what I love about human design is you get a second birthday because it works with 2 charts. You actually have your personality, which is your regular birthday for us, December 2nd. And then about 88 days before you were born, according to human design, that's when the soul enters the body. So if you calculate a chart for yourself, I like mybodygraph.com is a good place, or go to the Neutrino app is really good. And you'll find, so our design birthday is actually makes us a Virgo, September 5th, which is funny because my friend Janelle, who I have a very easy flow talking to, is like September 5th. So it's
and my college boyfriend Calvin and his mom, who got us our very first astrology chart, were born September 6th and September 5th. So the people that actually created the spark for our astrology career.
And you know who else? Like Werner Erhard is September 5th, who was from Est and Landmark. And we did a lot of training at Landmark. It was a good place for us to kind of do that ontological personal growth stuff when we were younger. And it was like, yeah, I was like, I just vibed with not really with the way the company ran itself, but I totally vibe with their amazing teachings about your, exploring who you're being in any situation and in working with a sense of integrity. So yeah,
it goes full circle back to Kabbalah and David Guillaume and the speakers that are going to be on this this cruise I'm going on. There's a neuroscientist who's going to explore whether AI is or can become conscious. Like, it's a lot of fascinating topics. Like, I'm an astrologer talking about financial cycles, business, and wealth. It's a lot of those things that you wouldn't expect, which I feel like is par for the course for this week of Uranus going into Gemini. And by the way, I'm giving my money talk literally in the hour that Uranus moves from Taurus into Gemini. So I'm going to have to like pause everyone at 8:50 p.m. and do some sort of a ritual or something like that. But I'll report back. I don't know if I guess next week, or I don't know if I'll even be off the cruise. Tali may be soloing next week.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Well,
we'll figure it out. We'll record it.
Well, this is a huge deal transit. And we're seeing whenever like Uranus shifts signs, which happens about every 7 years, there's always a disruption. Japan had a 7.5 quake, and they're warning of a mega quake, potential tsunami, and knock on wood, that won't happen. But when Uranus moved into Aries, March 11th, 2011, from Pisces, that was when the tsunami happened in Japan that wound up causing the nuclear explosion at the Fukushima plant. Hopefully they batten down the hatches more, but like there is almost like an earthquake energy of Uranus and Taurus, and Uranus is the earthquake planet. So here it is going into Gemini and leaving Taurus. I think we've had a lot of disruptions. Actually, last week when we were recording, Viktor Orban had not lost, Hungary's autocratic leader who'd been in power for 16 years and was just a real, his playbook is what Project 2025 and the current Republican administration is leaning into here. Basically, just dismantle the media. They're just taking it bit by bit. So his loss is significant. He is a Gemini, May 31st.
How many more of them? I think we need to put Rubio, like a temporary
Hegseth,
supply and demand. No offense with the Gemini male leaders. I think we need to put a temporary moratorium on those because they are just stirring up the pot.
I think Uranus can, if you're not, because Uranus is a ruler of Aquarius, so it can be very high-minded, but if you're on the wrong side of things, it can take you to, Kanye West, yay, they canceled his show in the UK and I think also in France.
Well, he canceled it, in France before
the government wouldn't give him a visa.
Of course,
wouldn't give him a visa to come perform there, I think. So he's hitting his limits. He also performed with another Gemini, Lauryn Hill, which was interesting in LA. She came out to perform. Also, CNN exposed an online rape academy that was like, it's not getting as much, of course, but this is very Jupiter and Cancer too. But the headline says the article reads, in shocking group chats, men encourage one another to drug and assault their wives and swap tips on getting away with it. And this website had 62 million views in February alone. Apparently it's called sleep content. This is a thing where men will drug their wives and record them having, sex with other men or with them, and then sell, put it up. There's a website, motherless.com, that has this is why women don't want to fuck with men right now. Like literally, we are go the 4B, and so, to the good
Which she
guys
wrote
out
about for
there.
the last couple of years in the book too, like that this was coming with all the Pluto and Aquarius and all the Aries and fire horse time. It's like, just anything that tells women to center their lives around a man in these times with these kind of things going on. And that is not, if you're listening to this as an individual man, I remember, one of the best takeaways I remember from my first year of college at the University of Michigan was when, the distinction was made that criticizing an individual, critiquing an individual and a group were two different things. So, if like you hear yourself in, we tend to take things like that personally. Like men are taking all of this critique of male culture, the manosphere, the patriarchy personally. Well, that's not fair. I'm a good man. You see that with white people. We see that among our culture with Jewish people.
No, it's not that we don't want men in our lives and our world. It's not that, but I think collectively men need to think about what it means to be an ally for women. It's not enough to just say, I'm a good guy. I'm not like that. Like we need you to actually call out your brothers, start a movement that is, in support of women and anti that. And I'm sure there are some men out there doing it, but it just feels like there's like the Mankind Project and like men, no, don't go off to the woods and beat the drums and bang your chests and connect and sob in each other's arms and explore your emotions. We
At least
actually,
not without coming back and being like, that was great, but I still am stepping into the same privilege I've always had. Because I remember like confronting this when I was 18 or 17 and went to college and like took my first sociology classes and learned about white privilege. And we all have privilege in different ways. And, sometimes the first response for people is to get defensive. I'm not like that. I don't see color. I remember people saying, it's like, but that's not true. And that doesn't solve anything. It's like, it's not about only your mindset. It's about, like acknowledging that you happen to be born the way you're born, but you were born also that intersected with you being born in a system that grants you rewards, whether you want them or not. And taking responsibility for that means acknowledging it, not denying it, not trying to be only just trying to be a good ally, but also being a good ally by helping to dismantle the parts of that don't work, or make sure that those who aren't benefiting from the system get in there. That's why I really love doing the technology stuff for women, because we were lucky enough that our mom just happened to get a computer and bring it home in 1983. And, we learned coding. We were in the gifted program, which is a privileged thing too, but we got to be in that. And, I just never stopped learning how to do that. And again, the privilege of an education, even though it was a public school. So
there's an article about Bill Gates, and how he just so happened to go to a school that had one of the first computers, and that's why he was able to that, just like how luck figures into things. And if he had not, would he have created Microsoft? Would he have? Probably not. Who knows? So Yeah, privilege is real, but it's beyond also like it is a thing. It is a thing that we are wanting for, yeah, go ahead and sob in each other's arms in the woods. I mean, that's good. We all need to do that. I'm not saying men don't, but like that doesn't make you an ally for women just because you're in touch with your feminine energy. What makes you an ally? And it's not even for women. It's like I think this is a bigger thing that I think we're gonna find as Uranus moves into Gemini. Like
Mm-hmm.
the message is the medium, the message is the thing. What is the message? Uranus is very clear in communication, and I think there's been a very like anti-resistance stance that people have taken, and resistance is sort of Uranus and Taurus. You're the bull charging against the cape. You're pushing back on something, pushing back on the anti-DEI, or you know, and
Yeah. Uranus and
instead of being
Taurus. Yeah.
like, yeah, instead of being like, I am pro humanity. I am creating a vision. This is the utopian vision that I am standing behind and creating. We're getting a lot. There's a what's called a minor grand trine that's going to start opening up. This is one of the big planetary alignments of the next 2, 3 years. So we have Uranus and Gemini trine, which is this free flowing air trine with Pluto and Aquarius. So this is like a circuit where there's like no interference. If you think of this as sort of an electronics, we've got Uranus and Gemini, high vibe thinking, messaging, people organizing, the importance of like a clear revolutionary message with Pluto, which is powering up the underground in technology, in community, in I'm going for the most,
Yeah.
hopeful
Positive.
interpretation. Of course, it can go other ways too. And then in the middle of them, it's almost like this flow pyramid, if you were to draw a line between them. In the middle of those two is Neptune, planet of dreams and idealism, and Aries, creating this new world, this sort of sense of bringing dreams into reality. And that Neptune is what's in it's 2 signs apart from Uranus, 2 signs apart from Pluto, so it's kind of in the middle there. And also this very friendly energy. So these three outer planets are, kikiing together
Mm-hmm.
and powering each other up. Now, on the shadowy side of that, they can bring like trolls and AI and technocrats,
Defense spending, war, like just yeah, all the tech powered military stuff that we're seeing.
most likely we'll be seeing both at play,
Yeah.
and so especially with what's happening with human design next year with the cross of the sleeping phoenix beginning this new 420-year cycle
February
that
15th. Yeah.
yeah starts
Mhm.
February 15th, and we wrote about it in our 2026 book. If you have it, it's in the back. You should go to the back of the book and read it. But it's we are going to be needing that community, humanity energy. And you already see that polarizing coming. Hopefully, it won't fall into this polarization, but rather that we can bring our humanity into our robotics and AI development and all the things that this minor grand trend is. Also, it's great for
I
innovation.
think we're going to see a real speeding up of like the autonomous driving vehicles and the flying cars and all the really super sci-fi things. I mean, I was
And
looking
Gemini
at
rules transportation too.
yeah,
So,
I was just looking back at our 2017 and 2018 books when Uranus
mm,
was in Aries, and then in 2018 when it made its first brief dip into Taurus, where it only lasts been from 1934 to 42. And we talked about like the rise of authoritarian and populist leaders and farming and food changes and we have one section called The End of Money, the Rise of Cashless Businesses.
And that was so shocking then.
Yeah.
And who uses cash anymore? I've got like cash sitting in my wallet that I like never use.
So yeah, it was all the things that we wrote about have come to pass. But I remember having fun just sitting there like forget about virtual reality. There'll be mixed reality. And just it was just like, okay, yeah, we have all of those things. And something about robots, which has happened too, that were just the kind of the human robots were really starting up. So here we are on the outgoing part of that and moving into kind of the age of air, the planets. We call this the decade of disruption, but the first half was really a lot of the outer planets were in the more yin, water and water and earth signs. And now they're in fire and air, which is speed, innovation, change. So it's ready or not, things are about to go quick.
Yeah, I mean, actually, every Uranus and Gemini transit syncs up with, or at least the last four, with a war or radical, shift. We had 1775 to 1781 with the American Revolution, 1858 to 1866, the Civil War, the beginning and end was covered. 1941 to 1949, we had World War II, and here we are basically in World War III and this whole reordering that's happening.
Yeah.
There's also been a great communication revolution every single time. The 1700s was Paul Revere's famous ride, and the steam engine was commercialized. All that, there was information that was spread by horseback and pamphlet.
The British are coming, right? Wasn't that
right? Yeah. And then 1858 to 1866 brought the telegraph network, the rotary press. We had the first color photo. Railroads started to, and then 1941 to 49, commercial television was authorized so people could get TV in their homes. There was the first electronic computer. It covered 1,800 square feet. Sony was founded, the Casio, the Polaroid camera, and the word computer used for the first time in the modern sense. Also, 1940s was the first time that the word teenager was used. And Gemini and Uranus is very much about that youthful kind of teen rebel. I'm going to do things different. And in Gemini, like that. So I think that's really interesting. So what are we looking at now? Digital twins, AI. I mean, even just
robots that will read you the classical whatever,
like Plato. Yeah. We're also looking at these Lego videos that Iran has been. I mean, it's
so Aries.
So Aries, but also kind of a Uranus and Gemini. These, these, they just did an Erica Kirk one, Goodbye Charlie, which is,
oh man.
I mean, the thing is, like, they are shifting the world's perception of Iran because we don't hear much in the Western world about what's going on there. They don't have access the same way to posting and participating in social media. And it's like, there's a lot going on there that's obviously troubling. But this is you did your interview with Netta, the special episode, and she
Middle
was talking
Eastern
about
misfits,
the Persian poets and how there's such a long history, and it's in the Persian history of poetry. And there's these Lego videos are so sharp. They're so smart and savvy. Propaganda they may be, but they're like saying the things are the ultimate diss tracks that every American who's on the left wishes we could have they like, it's like,
well, the fact that that's what's being witnessed by the
That's how
other
they
side
see
of the world
us.
is like, and
Yeah.
that they can like distill it. Like we have our echo chamber Instagrams, but like when it comes from there, it's like, oh wow. So this is the pattern that is being seen by everybody. Yeah, I was talking to
We don't
Netta.
have that window into Iranian culture the way they do into ours. And they see it's like that whole like damn, you feel so exposed. Like, I mean, they did an antichrist one about Trump that's like a
Mhm.
heavy metal. I just like, oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Netta, it was interesting because I had just interviewed Netta about how she went to Iran in 2005 and six and made this documentary about the youth culture of Iran and how she learned that they all had access to all the Western media just through an underground. And she interviewed an underground rapper, Yaz, and then brought her music producing, music managing background from the United States that she'd gained here to break him out as the first Persian hip hop star. And she was like, yeah, he's still in the blackout, but she's like, I can't wait to tell him, like, look what Persian hip hop has become. Oh my God. He's, like, not in a, I mean, not in like a gleeful way, but like, who would have ever thought that this is where it would be, 20 years later. So
And
it
it's
is pretty
crazy.
wild.
It's like this is how wars are being fought now. But it's funny, not funny because, it's like
It's like,
what
yeah.
this is the insanity. So this is the duality of Uranus and Gemini. Like we have to it's like comic relief and horrors happening at the same time. And we can expect more
Mhm.
bizarre, like, is there a ceasefire? No, there's a ceasefire. Now, this morning, the US captured an Iranian ship, and now it's just like
I'll tell you what,
nobody's
Uranus
playing
and
by the
Gemini.
rules. Nobody's being honest. They're coming to the they're coming to the table, and they're not making any kind of agreements. I think that Uranus and Taurus stubbornness. Who
Absolutely.
knows? Maybe the Venus and Uranus and Gemini this week will bring, but I think it's going to bring more double talk, double speak,
The
unfortunately.
shakeup and the fall of corporate media, or like the way that the reshaping of or shape shifting of corporate media, I think, and the way we're getting our news sources from independent journalists now, like again, something we would never have thought would happen quite like this is probably going to intensify with Uranus and Gemini. Just, all right, I heard this on the corporate news and now I got to go to my influence. It's
Well,
we
yeah,
just have to
Larry
hope that it remains
Ellison
that way. Yeah.
is I mean, like, this is the Viktor Orban playbook, which is happening here, which is give your bros all the media. I mean, Jeff Bezos has bought Vogue, and now they're doing the Met Gala, but all these people in New York are protesting. Zoran Mamdani is declining to go, and
Love
he's
that.
got the underground cool kid stamp in New York City right now, and the Met Gala used to be that thing that the cool kids did. So it's like,
And we're
the,
seeing that more and more ever since Pluto left Capricorn November
yeah,
2024. It's like all the things that were a little subversive, like, the Kardashians. Now it's just like, it's just, they have the ick. The Bezos Sanchez wedding was almost like this ritual of ick that kind of sealed that, and the Blue Origin space flight, like kind of like took some of the people that we thought were cool and subversive and leaders, including Oprah, like
yeah.
reshaped the way we see them now.
Pluto and Aquarius has really pulled her to like, where did you
Where
go?
did you go? I mean, I'm glad you're having success with your GLP ones, but weren't you in the color purple? Like, weren't you once? I don't know. I mean, but it's also a
Putting
reminder. I
all
think
that pressure
Uranus
on
and
Oprah to be the representative of
yeah.
everything. It's like,
Well,
it's also
Uranus
like,
was in the sign of the bull, so the sacred cows that we once had have not have been rearranged and reorganized.
And
also,
now's the time for
we're
us.
ending the guru culture.
Yeah, it
too.
is. It's time for people to, I think that's what the Cross of the Sleeping Phoenix is also about. It's like, and this minor grand trine is, and Pluto Aquarius, it's like our, and Neptune and Saturn and Aries. It's like, it starts with you, our individual power, individual strength. I mean, look at Mom Donnie. He was nobody in politics, and in one year, he just went out, pounded the pavement, met with all the communities, and he won. And he's doing exactly what Uranus and Gemini is asking for, staying on brand with his message. People ask him about, you know, his stance on Israel, Palestine. He says, "I'm here for New York City. I'm focused." Like he
I saw
puts his
something about
focus on
him.
one thing, and that's
Yeah.
really like what is that message that you are standing for? What is the thing?
I saw him talking about, like, someone was asking him about like his communications with Trump. He's like, well, we're both New Yorkers and we disagree. He's like, do you tell him to his face that you think he's a fascist? He's like, I do. It was like, he's like, but he also got,
He's a good Libra looking for the common ground, which is another thing that we may have to do with Uranus and Gemini too. I do want to say back to your point about the media. The late 19th century, we had the robber barons, Vanderbilt and J.P. Morgan. They built their empires with railroads and oil and steel. And then we had the muckrakers, who was this series of journalists, this group of journalists who documented their abuses. There was Ida Tarbell, Upton Sinclair, who wrote The Jungle about the Lithuanian immigrants working in the meat packing factories and all the abuses there. So, and in the 1940s, there were also like Le Monde and Der Spiegel in Germany, like so, people writing, journalists were independent journalists had a heyday, like Uranus is independence, and Gemini rules the media. So don't sleep on your Substacks, your YouTube channels, your podcasts. I mean,
I heard something problematic is even happening with Substack too. I think the founder of it isn't. It's like a free speech absolutist kind of, who's like letting hate speech and Nazi content be. It's like, can we ever just?
But this is really going to be important and useful for all of us, no matter who we are, no matter our identity, is the pluralistic perspective, looking at things from multiple angles, looking at, there's a whole, both sidesism, but both sidesism is a thing with Gemini, Uranus and Gemini, the sign of twos. While I was in New York, I saw the movie Palestine 36. And, as all of you who listen know, our father emigrated to Israel, and, we grew up, our mom's a rabbi, we grew up pretty steeped in our Jewish culture and only hearing really one side of our identity while we were growing up. And we didn't, we also grew up Middle Eastern in the Midwest, as we say, but there was a lot of Arab culture around us. There's a huge Arab population in Detroit, as well as other cultures too. Detroit is a largely Black city, so we were exposed to a lot of different cultures, which was awesome. But did we go deep into the history of Israel and Palestine? No, we didn't. We were busy being American, or I can say for myself, although Ophi did start to explore that more in college, but like never heard of the Nakba, didn't know that, it was just, all I knew was like Thank God our grandfather left Germany in the 30s and his whole family went to Palestine and they would have, and our dad had to leave communist Bulgaria. His family was Sephardic Jews who had escaped various places. So if not for Palestine, then Israel, we wouldn't be here. And it's true. But now learning the deeper history and having to grapple with the fact that our people literally did, work with the British and kick Palestinians off their lands and out of their homes. And
there's a book that just came out about the Bund anti-Zionist movement that's like getting all this attention. I mean, this is where we are. I mean, I'll just say, like, with the prophecy stuff that I've been exploring from listening to channelers, interesting on Mayim Bialik. We were on her podcast a couple of years ago, and she's really gone into having a lot of channelers and near-death experience and guides, which I'm loving. But they're all kind of saying the same thing about, like, we are at this crucial turning point in history. This is supposed to be happening. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's somewhat comforting to know that this is a spiritual test and not completely senseless.
Sitting there at the end of that film and knowing, like, oh my God, like having to grapple with both sides, like knowing that the Jews who were going there were like freaked out and like, oh my God, they're sending people to concentration camps, but also that knowing that they were able to like dehumanize the Arab population. It's like we have to be able to hold the perspective of all of it as we look back on history and then use this Uranian futurist energy to create something new. And I don't know how or what that is, but it also means I think it starts with, and just like we are having to reckon that here and have never reckoned that in the United States, our history around slavery. So Uranus and Gemini is and that minor grand trine with Pluto and Neptune, it's like a new perspective that allows for all of it. So that's, I think, what we're on the heavier side of it, we have to do. We cannot create a new future without acknowledging every piece of the past. And that's not novel thinking, but for some reason it is.
Yeah.
I think we can just expect weird news to come up over the next few weeks as well. Like one of the weirdest things that's already happening. Trump just signed an executive order on psychedelic drugs because Joe Rogan called him and said, we want shrooms or LSD and ibogaine and psilocybin and MDMA, to be legalized, for medical use. Hey, I think that's great. But like, I got a text from Joe Rogan, so why don't I just, if let me hook up my boy. Yeah, he's been bashing MAGA lately too, but he's popular, so that's all Trump really cares about. There's also
he's useful.
We had
useful idiots. They all are for each other.
Exactly. This is the duplicity. Like the SantaCon organizer was arrested for embezzling millions of dollars for wire fraud. People paid $10 to $20 to participate and was supposed to go to local charities, and he pocketed it. And then this was another weird one. Police arrest man who replaced $34,000 worth of Lego pieces with pasta. This guy went to Target and he got, I don't know what he did. Somehow he got some Lego boxes and he put like Durham wheat pasta inside the boxes and shook them up so that he returned the Legos with the week of inside, weird. And then he kept the pieces and sold them, and he did that with Target. So, not mad at him for that part, but whatever.
It almost seems like a slightly revolutionary act. Yeah, let's just kind of call this the week of weird, I guess, especially because Venus is going into Gemini on April 24th. So we've got a lot of Gemini action happening. Taurus and Gemini. It was Pisces and Aries a couple of weeks ago. Now it's Taurus and Gemini and a lot of Aries still too. It's going to take a lot of critical thinking. Hang tight. You're going to get a lot of.
I'm glad Venus and Uranus are together, at least for that, because Venus can at least maybe soften some of the edge of this transit. I mean, I'm hoping so, but I do think that that's going to, Venus is the only planet that has a feminine goddess, and I'm just for women in tech. Uranus rules tech. Women connecting through network allies of women, and there are plenty of them out there. I just queer allies. I think Gemini also, we're gonna see. Hopefully this will bring us back around to trans rights, equal rights, because Gemini is the non-binary as well.
Here's hoping. Well, if you want to get proactive and create what's next, join us April 21st, tomorrow, Tuesday, April 21st at 7:00 Eastern, 4:00 Pacific for our monthly manifestation meetup. We're going to have the link in the show notes for you. We did it last month. And the whole reason that I'll be coming on the webinar live from Miami is because of something that I manifested on the last one, which was to do with keynote. And I was invited to Summit at Sea to speak twice on this cruise. So I will be in Miami tomorrow manifesting for Taurus season, aka Venus season. Join us. It's free, an hour. You're going to pick 3 or 4 areas of your life to manifest something in that we're going to guide you through. And then we're just going to collectively raise that vibration together. We also have a few more openings we expanded our schedule for readings. So astrostyle.com/readings if you want to get your chart done, proactively
book a spring reading with us, and get your mid-year or Q2 plan together, and or just look at relationships, look at what's going on, get out of that unstuck crossroads you're in. We will help you with that.
Yeah. All right. We will see you all next week. Good luck going into this Uranus shift, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to AstroTwins Radio. If today's episode gave you an aha moment, we'd be over the moon if you left us a 5-star review. It helps fellow astrology lovers find us. And make sure to hit subscribe and follow us on iTunes and Spotify so you never miss an episode. Want the full visual experience? You can also watch the video version on our YouTube at AstroTwins-TV. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at AstroTwins and head over to astrostyle.com to read your free daily, weekly, and monthly horoscope that we write for you with love. Until next time, move with intention and let the universe meet you there.